You just don't understand crowdfunding. It's fine. And you don't have to be involved. I'm doing it with these people. These people get it. That's easy criticism to handle. And then a couple months later, it was, Amanda Palmer is a greedy, terrible person who made $1 million on Kickstarter and then asked her fans to volunteer. Something that I just did tonight, by the way. I didn't pay for this rug. Fucking loud. They were donated. Because that's the way I do shit, right? But also, I can handle that. I was like, you just don't understand this exchange that we're doing. It's fine. Hopefully you'll get it. I'll do a TED Talk and explain it. So that didn't really hurt either because it didn't hit me below the belt and I felt a little misunderstood, but it wasn't awful. What was awful is what happened that spring. The album came out in the fall. I weathered one controversy after another with my flaming sword, and it was okay. But then in the spring, something really weird happened, which is the Bosten bombing. And when the Bosten bombing happened, it was a couple blocks from my house. It was really frightening. It was the first time that I had ever felt like I was literally in a part of dark history actually happening. The police were, the whole city was in lockdown. Everyone was told not to leave their house. There were no cars in the streets. There was a manhunt going on to find this teenager, this 17-year-old, who had just murdered all these people. And a couple days later, I was in a bookstore with Neil, and I sort of started thinking about the kid and the bombing and all the pain and the suffering. And I wrote this stream of consciousness stupid poem on my blog. And I even showed it to Neil, and I was like, do you think people are going to get this? Or do you think I'm going to get yelled at? And he looked at it and he was like, no, this is fine. But what was so awful about this is that, a bunch of right-wing people yelled at me, and that was really easy to handle because, they yelled at me for being a terrorist sympathizer, for daring to empathize with what it must have felt like to be this 17-year-old kid just having murdered all these people hiding in the bottom of a boat in the middle of the suburbs, just waiting to be found, thinking about what he had just done. But it was the left wing. The left wing, especially the Boston Music Press and the Boston Press, came after me. And they were like, we get it, Amanda, and we get that you think you're doing the right thing, but you have to understand that there's a limit to empathy. And I was like, I don't think so. But also, a lot of people agreed. And I mean, my city was scared. People were fucking scared. It was, a giant bomb had gone off of the biggest event in the city. There were photos everywhere of people with no legs bleeding and dying in the streets. It was like being in a war zone for a second. But I also just never felt so alone, because I realized that a belief that I had been taught, mostly by Anthony, was actually, maybe I was the minority. Like, maybe all these people really did think I was crazy. And what none of these people criticizing me, whether it was the Kickstarter or the poem or whatever, what none of them knew was happening right at that time is that my best friend, Anthony, had just been given a terminal cancer diagnosis. One day he was sick, the next day they gave him 6 months to live. And all these things were happening at the same time. And for the first time in a really long time, I didn't have anything to write anymore. I didn't write a song for about a year. I was just paralytic. Until I was on my way to do a Kickstarter house party, somewhere in the Midwest, I forget where. And I thought, I might as well just tell the truth about what is going on. Because I haven't written a song in a year and a half, and this is starting to feel ridiculous. It doesn't even have to be good.